Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, there we go.
Why not steal intros? I
Yeah.
am joined by the one and only J. Dr. Bundy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm here. I love the graphics. We've got fire and logos and yeah, this is great.
I get
Fantastic.
excited sometimes. So what we're doing here, for anybody who's confused, like what the hell is going on a recent stream, Jay was talking about how it would be interesting if somebody were to, instead of just reading straight through the Bible, just look at the parts that are inappropriate for children. And there's some topical significance to this because recently, as you may have heard from my friend and yours, Hemant Mehta, the Iowa Republicans have been trying their very best to ban the Satanic Temple from putting up a Christmas display on the grounds that it's inappropriate for children. Now, out of the two
Wow.
belief systems, guess which one has shit that's very inappropriate for children? And with that, welcome to Adult Bible Study, where we're going to get really adult. But
Yeah, I
biblical.
love it. That's exactly the game plan. It's the perfect setup.
Hell yeah. I thought it was pretty neat.
It was like it's like kind of like I was today years old when I learned that Christianity is really a BDSM kink.
For fucking real. Oh my goodness. I just I just don't get it. Like as I got older and older, as you know, but some people may not, I grew up my grandmother was very Christian and she kept trying to get me into church, but every time she'd bring me, I was one of those kids that just asked questions. And I'd be like, how could the global flood have been a thing? And then the kangaroos got to Australia and they'd ask her not to bring me back. So the religion thing never really, I didn't
Wow.
get it. But as I got older and the other kids tried to explain to me about their beliefs, I was just like, this is, far be it from me to kink shame, but this is fucking weird. Like
It
whatever
is.
you're
It
into,
is.
this is
It
not
is.
normal.
It's weird, and I also find it incredibly un-American. Just the idea of like a lord and a king and all of this stuff. It's very grovelly, very authoritarian. It's just yeah, it's weird, and I also find it weird just how much people want to believe these strange things. There's no reason to actually believe it, but it's like it's a very emotional thing, and it's very off-putting. I'll say that.
Uh-huh. Oh my goodness. Like every time I would try to get into it, I'd be like, okay, so we're saying whatever the fuck created the universe, that's God. I can kind of follow you so far. But that entity decided he hates shellfish and humans could never live up to his expectations. And a dust man and a rib woman ate a magic fruit because they were tricked by a talking snake. And so now
Yeah,
periods happen.
yeah,
And the only solution is he had to incarnate, to sacrifice himself to save us from rules he's in charge of. I'm sorry, it just does not fucking follow.
yeah.
As Brentley says, our friend Brentley from Punk Apostate, there's a magical ghost who wants to live inside you, but you have to pretend to cannibalize this magical carpenter ghost on a weekly basis, or the spell doesn't work.
Yeah, I've never heard it put quite like that, but that's the gist of it. And I think that's kind of what we're here to do, which is like hear these things in, other tones in kind of presented a different way, because I think so much of the culture is like hearing the Bible and wrapping it all up in the warm and fuzzies. So this will not be that. Well, not those warm and fuzzies.
A very different
Very
kind of.
different kind of warm and fuzzies. And see, and this is where we need to drop that Apple Adam and Eve sponsorship, or what was
Oh,
the what's the one that's what's her face is always Leah Miller, who's she's got like a sex toy sponsorship.
Yeah, I gotta find out more about that because Adam and Eve isn't sponsoring YouTubers anymore. They may
Yeah,
still
that's what you're
sponsor other
saying.
stuff, but there are still companies out there that do that sort of thing. But as for me, for the moment, we and don't get me wrong, I appreciate the hell out of their sponsorship, but we're stuck just dealing with wetness. Hey folks, I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic.
Oh, I
Hell
love
yeah.
it. Oh, hell yeah. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. We need more of that.
We
I'm
do.
gonna get me I'm gonna get me a couple of filters. Yeah, that's what's up. We need some good I don't know, like commie type, real progressive, sustainable
Hey, holy shit.
people to work with. You know what I mean?
This isn't part of the ad. This is just me being impressed. The packaging it comes in. This is bioplastic. And like everything is either recyclable or biodegradable or reusable. I mean, in the ad it mentions the filters you can be returned for recycling, but like every part of it is eco-conscious,
Oh, it's
and
fantastic.
I fucking love it. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
get
it's
make your water epic, gang.
that's right. Get some epic loot drops or something. Do you have to beat a final boss to get the epic loot? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not good
Maybe
at games, so that would be a problem.
yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
a severe barrier to entry.
I know. All right. So we're broadcasting on both my channel, Better Than Ember, and Jay's Pocket Locker 86. If you're not familiar with either of us, our links are in the descriptions. Make sure you connect
Yeah,
and say
subscribe to the other channel. There you go.
yeah. But for anybody who has no fucking idea, who is you? What do you do? And where French does it
Um,
come you and such?
that's me. I teach. I teach. I'm a scientist, educator. That's the occupational description. I have a dual PhD in integrative biology and ecology, evolutionary biology, and behavior. And I spent pretty much most of my life around church people, in churches, come from a family of ministers. I worked at a church, actually. I used to work at church full time, but I'm also like a church drummer and sound guy. So I was always on the worship team and a youth leader and a community organizer. Yeah, I made my new channel intro on my channel, and I talked about how it used to be my job to preach the gospel to kids. I don't talk about that chapter of my life a lot, but that was the actual job description. That was yeah, that used to be my thing. I used to actually like go into the hood and we'd get the kids and we would like do prayer walks like on their way to school. And that's the type of indoctrination I feel bad about, right? That's why I'm really against all of the sort of church washing of like charity, because I know the the indoctrination that they're trying to use it for, right? And what we did, like it was great in the sense that it was a community church, so it was all about community service. I really enjoyed what that church did in the community, but when I look back at it, I regret it because the indoctrination that accompanied with it versus like the time when I worked for the Urban League of Essex County, which is just um just a nonprofit with a storied history of public service and no indoctrination required. And I don't have regrets about the time I spent there, very much doing similar thing. So, it was nice to be in those kids' lives and to be a positive role model for them and to give them that extra attention and safety. And that's what the kids were so excited about, that somebody paid attention to them and cared enough to show up and walk them to school. But then you're like trying to do prayer walks with them instead of like just talking to them and having fun with them. So yeah, that's why I don't like all the community stuff in the church. And I think we should at least encourage churches to do it without advertising if they're going to do it. Sorry, that's a total rant about who I am, but
Well, I mean, first of all, ranting is one of the things that you're known for, and second, people come here for the tangents.
That's true. This is
We
true.
literally, if you're watching on my channel, we literally have an emoji for that, and the emojis, by the way, voted on by the members, except when I arbitrarily replace ones that nobody's used in a while.
Yeah, that's got to make an executive decision there.
That's right. But yeah, so join memberships and vote on new emojis when new slots open up and things, and other stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's Black Friday. I'm just full of capitalism today.
Yeah, it is. It's in the air. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit some of these scriptures. Let's get gross.
Sure. All right. So, yeah. Oh, real quick. I'm Ember, better than Ember. I'm a whole bunch of things, but one of the things I am is an atheist minister. I still perform ceremonies as a secular officiant, and I may not understand your religion, but I'll perform your ceremony better than the people who do, because I actually care about the people.
Yeah.
Enough. Anyhow, yeah, that's my super quick intro. All right, so we have a bunch. There are, fam, I shit you not, we could easily do 5 episodes or more on the verses I have found just quickly and easily.
Oh wow.
Some of them are worse than others, and you'll see what I mean as we go, but we're definitely not going to get through all of them. I'll be surprised if we get all the way through fucking Genesis. So first up, early on in Genesis, and we are dealing just with the adult content. Genesis 4:17. Now, for clarity, I'll read a verse or two before, and then the verse that we're actually being called upon to examine. So I'll start at 4:15. But the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence, even though he's omnipresent, and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. 17. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. Where do you suppose Cain's wife came from?
I don't know where Cain's wife came from. I have no idea.
Because if Adam and Eve are the only source of other humans,
yeah,
you just diddle his sister.
Oh. Yeah, that's awkward.
It is.
You know what? People are always talking about the incest in the early thing. So let's draw out the family tree so everybody's clear on this. This is one you can now articulate when you talk to your Christian buddies.
Let's put it down there so y'all can see, even though it's probably small. Believe it or not, folks, I was thinking about doing this as a vertical stream, and then it would be really small. So,
Yeah. You can blow it up a little bit, the text, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? It's popping up on my my TV. It's readable on a big screen. It's not gonna be that readable on the phone, but on a TV, it's.
Yeah. I could make us. Whoops, not that one. I could make us smaller. Actually, this isn't too bad. Because normally I'll have the chat on screen.
Yeah, so Cain is like generation 2, right? He's like right after Adam and Eve.
Yeah, there's Cain and Abel are the first 2, and then later there's Seth, but we don't know.
Yeah, so then his wife's the wife's gotta also be Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
which means there's not a lot of other sources of mothers and fathers around.
It is a slight issue. Now, of course, this is the modern version of the Bible. This one is a question mark, incest question mark, because there are other options. There are older versions of these stories or other versions of these stories, like the heretical tales that include Lilith as Adam's first wife. And if Lilith got busy with a demon or something and created other humans, then it's not incest.
So wait, Adam had a wife before Eve?
Some versions of the story say so, yes.
Weird.
Apparently, I
Did
don't
she
know 'cause I
come
haven't
from, was
read
that like
it.
did she come from like a pinky bone or something, and like that didn't work out, and then God was like, I gotta gotta go for the rib next time and like get this right? I don't know. That's so weird.
It's
How do people believe any of this stuff? Like, and the funny thing is, like, if you talk to most Christians, and they especially if they don't know what you know or think about, like science, for instance, they will legitimately talk about Adam and Eve like it's history. Like,
yeah, and especially the creationists. So, as many of you may be aware, both Jay and I were at the ARC protest this year because Ken Ham has this big fucking $100 million plus fake boat in the middle of Kentucky that he makes fuck tons of money from, and it's a problem for a bunch of reasons.
yeah,
So
it
we were
is.
both there giving speeches for the protest, and honestly, both of our speeches are pretty damn cool. Although I think I have to give the trophy for the best speech to SR, but that's a whole other story.
Oh, I think Godless Granny, because the protest was part of her deconversion story.
Yeah, that's true. She got up, she gave her speech. She was like, so the organization that is at least part of setting it up every year, the Tri-State Free Thinkers, they have a big old banner that they made after the first year with the pictures of a whole bunch of different atheists who were there, Hemet Meta and Aron Ra and so on and so forth. And I believe it says incest and genocide theme park on it or something to
Oh
that.
yeah, it does, yeah,
And that banner that got Granny to start deconstructing. And she
yeah.
was, wait a second. that isn't fucking real, but we will get to Noah later.
Yeah, so we're starting off strong. We're gonna go straight into the sister loving portion of the scripture. And the funny thing is, like, it's adding up, right? Because let's face it, stepsister is one of the top categories in the American porn system. Everything turns in. It's like everything is unnecessarily step siblings. Like there's no, like, look, it's porn. Like the people are hot. First off, we do like gonzo porn these days, right? You know what I mean? In the sense that like our porn doesn't even have a story. It doesn't, like, nobody cares. So there's really no point to like give them roles in each other's lives at this point in the way people watch porn. So then to like go out of their way to make them step siblings and then just give them like an awkward, like 3 minutes of awkward sibling discussion that you all know everybody's skipping through anyway. So it's like, where's this coming from? And I think we're seeing it in this, like it's part of their culture. Like it's just in there. And this is like, go for it. Forget it. Forget all that step stuff. That's woke. That's the porn industry trying to water it down. We know what you really want to do.
Why? We have to be inclusive.
Oh my goodness.
I knew this was going to be hilarious, but I didn't think I'd lose it at the 20-minute
I'm just
mark.
gonna say evolution is way less gross than creationism.
Yes.
The idea, like, there's always been populations going back millions and billions of years. Therefore, there was never a need for the human species to depend on sticking it to your sister. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that narrative.
Although that did still happen sometimes anyway.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yes,
have
of course. Yeah. Ironically, especially if you were a royal, just ironically, especially if you had a lot of wealth and power to protect, you wanted to keep it in the family.
Yeah. All right. So our second version, we don't even have to go.
Well,
very
you know
far.
what? That's what this was. That's what this was. They were powerful. The whole species depended on this one family. Okay, so they did what they had to do. They did what they had to do. We wouldn't be here without them. I feel like the only other option is the mother. The only other option is that low key, when Cain made love to his wife, he also made love to his mother.
It doesn't say he didn't.
It doesn't. It just says wife, and we don't. There's no sister named technically. So if we were gonna limit ourselves to named characters, next time somebody talks about Adam and Eve and you go, this motherfucker, it's just.
She'd have to be, though, in order to populate the entire Earth, in order for there to be 8 billion people today, not to mention with a reset at the freaking flood,
yeah,
she would have to be constantly pregnant and popping out twins every time,
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
And Adam after a while is getting up there in age. So, oh my goodness.
After you turn 800 or so, sometimes you need a little pill to keep things going, and they just didn't have medicine back then. So,
yeah, this could have been like the earliest, like polyandrous type of father and 2 sons and 1 wife type of very weird situation going on. And then they're producing a litter of nephew, children, siblings.
Right. But also, who's going to tell them it's weird? There's no other humans to be
there's nobody to judge. We shouldn't judge because in the proper so you're taking it out of context. You're thinking with today's mind. You have to take it back to the very first generation of humans, and there was no one around to think it was weird at the time, so it wasn't weird.
That's right.
It was totally fine.
Kit points out there is no word for wife in the Hebrew Bible.
Whoa.
So it isn't even necessarily a wife situation, but
yeah, it's like Cain made love to woman, and we only know of one.
There is a woman at this point, and that's an oof. It's oh boy.
I will say I don't know which translation this is, but I feel like made love is very euphemistic for how these things went down in these times. So I'm happy this Bible went with made love. That's good on you. That's one way to describe it.
Yeah, I just have the NIV by default because it's okay.
Is the NIV generally like pretty euphemistic in these things?
I haven't done a thorough survey. But yeah, I didn't even catch the euphemism because it's so ubiquitous. Like literally everyone knows what it means, but it isn't actually saying what it means.
Yeah.
I
like the ones that are like went into. I'm like, okay, that's rather descriptive.
So correctly, it should be Cain knew his woman.
Knew. That's all. That's always an interesting one. They'll say she had never known a man or something like that, and we're like. Known, yeah. Euphemisms are its own. It's the whole thing in to itself.
YouTube Punk says NIV sucks. I mean, it's got pluses and minuses. Honestly, I think the King James is more fun, but then I have to explain the Elizabethan language.
Yeah, I usually roll with the NRSV. Got a few of those.
Yeah. I mean, the version isn't terribly important for our purposes.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So the next verse, we don't actually have to go very far. It's already on screen, in fact. Starting at verse 18. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mehujael, whatever, and he, that guy, was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. And Lamech married 2 women. one named Dada and the other Zillah. And there's our next not safe for children verse, because we know from the 10 Commandments, which haven't been handed down yet, but we know as modern people that adultery is wrong. And here's a dude marrying 2 women. According to the Bible, this is mega sinful. So what are we doing, Bible?
Yeah, and so yeah, and also this isn't like a wife and then like concubines or whatever. He's like flat out married to 2 women.
Yeah. I mean, this is less ishy than others. And to be clear, I personally don't have a problem with it. I think,
Right.
you know, we need to.
Right. I can roll with the
polyamory is more
polycules.
right.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Listen, as somebody who's been in a poly relationship, I will say kudos to anybody that can marry 2 people and make it work. Because my experience being in a poly relationship is like, you know what it's like to have a romantic partner? Yeah, it's like having 2 of those. So it's like twice all of the stress and the headache and god damn it, the scheduling. That thing about poly being a scheduling kink is not a joke. That's reality. So if you could literally like legitimately, but but again, like I will say this, I think for men it was not so much of an issue because again, women were property. So like she didn't have like any of these modern relationship dynamics to worry about. It's so weird to like. Okay, so like when you're teaching about this stuff, right? You're teaching about like marriage customs and things. This comes up in anthropology and sociology courses, right? And you have to teach students about dowry and bride wealth and all of these type of cultural exchanges. And one of those euphemisms that we do is we say, in Bible times or in some cultures, women are treated like property. And I have to like always slow down and be like, no. Women are property. Like to understand the system, like they're not treated like property. They are property, right? Like, and it's like that's just another thing we do to like euphemize it to make it seem less extreme than like what it is. And so it's very weird. And a lot of even in our society, our customs kind of harken back to that, right? A father escorts the bride down the aisle and then literally gives her away to the groom, right? As literally as to transfer property. So it's still weird, and even now we still like romanticize a lot of the things that come from that.
Oh yeah, there's people who very much don't believe in any of that nonsense, who are very, feminist and progressive and whatnot, but they still want the tradition. Even if they don't talk to their father or fathers, as the case may be, they still want someone to walk them down the aisle just for the tradition, even though they very much don't believe in the giving me away kind of thing.
Yeah. But I still want somebody to give me away. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I find that like really affects my own like dating dynamics because I'm I think I'm like trying to do 2025 things. And a lot of times like people are like, no, I want you to like make decisions for me and plan all of our dates and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's not my natural instinct. You're gonna have to like tell me that and like I'm gonna need some advance warning and some time because I don't default to rolling that way. But it's we're not here to yuck anybody's yum, except that's exactly what this show is for. The other thing that's interesting is we're not hearing a lot about the distinctions and parentage of all of these people. We got one little line, and then we know that there's 2 wives. But a lot of times in these cultures, marrying sisters is very common. Sometimes that was even preferred. So. I always like to think about poly relationships where you're expected to be married to sisters. So just for our audience to think about what it would be like to share a husband with their least favorite sibling, or like cousin marriages. I was talking to my students about cousin marriages. I was like, if you guys want a good reason to be angry at me when you're driving home from school today, I want you to think about which cousin you'd prefer to marry. And when you find yourself thinking about which cousin you'd want to marry, it's okay if you want to curse at me. I understand. I did that to you.
What have you done? Oh goodness. No, I just the whole trade relationship thing, it's never ever gone well for me. Like, no matter which gender person I'm dating or what the situation is, I want a fucking partner. I don't want someone to try to control me. I don't want to have to try to be the parent for them. I want
Yeah.
to be with me, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And I have hard enough time making decisions on my own when I have to. For me, I don't want another person making me responsible for their life choices as well. We need to work together and collaborate on this thing. I don't know where the hell to go for dinner. I'm not even from around here. I'm new. I'm like, so I don't even know where to go. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Doesn't even make any sense.
There's always a diner. Let's
I
find a diner.
objectively have less knowledge and information about these things.
Tell Google, give me somewhere to eat. Just send me somewhere. See if it can figure it out based on your shopping.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. From now on, you ask me to plan a date. You're asking ChatGPT to figure out your weekend for you is what you just did.
Chat, give me a romantic location that won't break the bank within 20 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking wild. Dr. Kip points out there's no reason that would be adultery. There's no prohibition on how many women a man
exactly. That's true. It's true. But it totally undermines the narrative, and I just don't for me, y'all, I really do think it's time that we end religion. And I think part of the problem is we just have to start telling people, like, I'm sorry, this just isn't true. Like, you can believe it if you want, but like, come on, like we know this stuff isn't true. But how does any of this make sense with the way they talk about monogamy and God's unchanging nature? And, there's one man out there for every one woman that got. First of all, it's just like a gross. I don't even know why people think that's romantic. Like, that just sounds gross and disgusting to me.
Retcon is so damn stupid because they're like, from the beginning, Adam and Eve, Adam said that a man shall leave his parents. How does he know what parents are? But never mind that. And cleave to his wife, and they shall be as one flesh. So clearly it was one man, one woman from the beginning. And I'm like, but all the patriarchs who were all righteous men, Solomon with friggin' 300 wives and 200 concubines, or the other way around, whatever.
Right,
like,
right.
What do you mean it's always been this way? It's such a fucking retcon.
It's never been that. And it's not that way now with as much divorce and sleeping around, and even in their own churches, their pastor's not monogamous. That's why y'all have sexual scandal insurance in your church, because of the not monogamy of your church leadership. That's what that is actually for.
The fact that there needs to be insurance for that.
Matter of fact, they have it so wrong in evangelical churches, because usually they like actually want you to be married to go into the positions of leadership, knowing good and goddamn well those are the people who also end up in the scandals. At least if they were single in having the stuff with adults, like you'd at least be in way more of like a societal normalized, like whatever, like who cares. But nope, y'all got to make sure it's always the married men that are creeping on all the women and kids. Go us. Family values. Awesome.
Wild. So you may have heard the rumors, certain conservatives like to say people who fly this flag do horrible things to children, when in actuality, if you actually look at the news, every single day, another pastor or preacher or church school teacher or whatever, someone affiliated with religious organizations, goes to jail. But lately it's been Republicans also, but they tend to be all preachy. Oh, I love Jesus so much. And 2 days ago, I think the representative who proposed the Trump derangement syndrome thing as a bill got arrested for having CP on his phone. Like
Oh,
this is
really? I didn't know
totally
that. Because I would definitely get diagnosed with Trump derangement syndrome. So
well, I think it's just projection. Not that we're doing politics today, but these things are related.
honestly, I wish there was a real Trump derangement syndrome so that psychologists and psychiatrists could study it so that they could come up with a pill so I could take said pill and wake up and live a reality that is not dominated by Donald Trump. That would be amazing. Please, somebody cure Trump derangement syndrome. I could use it yesterday.
We're all in comas having a collective nightmare because there's no way this is reality.
Exactly.
Say
But
less.
yeah, they're always caught with this stuff. It's disgusting. And then they worry about the grooming. And I always say, like, anybody that says that about LGBTQ people, ask them when was the last time they asked a 7-year-old if they have a girlfriend. Because it's always them that wants to do the play dates and ask kindergartners how many girls they've kissed and all this other stuff, and then gonna accuse somebody else of grooming. Also, you know, we have quite a bit of trans friends. What do you think the consensus would be if we asked our trans friends what the consensus age would be where we want to start considering genital surgeries?
I don't know if we'd come up with a consensus.
I don't think
because
we would. That's why I'm saying with the range, it'd be a range, right?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I'd suggest approximately 18, but that's for a data point. It's the Jazz Jennings problem.
Yeah, and then we're assuming there's not like
to reconstruct.
Yeah.
You know?
And there'd be probably like other situations where that would be different, accidents or extreme cases of whatever's. Okay, but then let's look at religious tradition. When do they think it's time to go snippy with the PPs and everything else? Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah,
I mean,
almost like right after that sucker's right off the lot, right? Like it just came off the assembly line and y'all are already snippy, clippy. So I just don't want to hear from these people about any of it. You know, it'd be like I'd be like my trans friends are actually not trying to do gender reassignment surgeries on children's, but even if they were, I don't want to hear from y'all. Y'all don't have a voice in this conversation. Go back over there and plan your next brisk or whatever. Like I don't want to hear it.
It's so fucking wild. I was randomly, as I was going about doing stuff, I was listening to an old Vosh debate with a couple of transphobes, and you know they were doing the normal stuff. I don't need to read the studies. I've passed 7th grade science or some shit like that. And Vosh just stops the debate. He's like, just out of curiosity, how do you feel about circumcision? And they're like, well, I don't have a problem with that. Why would I? And he's like, yeah, just curious. Move along. Like that, no sense of awareness.
None. That's what projection is. If you think about, I was thinking about this the other day. What projection literally is negative self-awareness, right? It's when your self-awareness is so low that you literally accuse other people of the things you're doing. They actually have negative self-awareness. That's what projection is. It's crazy.
It's an adventure. But speaking of adventures, I don't have a better segue for this, but I want to thank Jester for the $5 super chat. Jester says, TDS is characterized by unwavering belief in DJT's morality and that he will lead you to the promised land. Side effects include wearing bad hats.
Yeah. And the sad part is for some of them, the cure for Trump derangement syndrome is Fuentes derangement syndrome, and then they're going from the red MAGA hat to like the blue America First hat, and they're switching from the alt-right that is pro Netanyahu to the alt-right that's pro Hitler. So America 2026 is going to be awesome, y'all.
Right, you have your choice. Virillion says, apparently age 15 is barely legal, but having trans surgery is a life-changing decision that's too difficult for a teen to decide on. Not the teen,
yes. And pretty soon 15 is going to be old enough to work, old enough to be charged as an adult for a crime, old enough to marry,
Oh,
old
we
enough
already
to
do that.
consent to sex. So yeah, I don't.
42 states still allow child marriage, and every single time someone tries to ban it and says, guys, this is not cool, you can't consent until 16 or 18 depending on the state you're in, why are we having children get married at 12 and then consummate the marriages? What the
Religious
fuck?
freedom,
A Republican stands up
always.
says you can't ban it because of my religious beliefs. You ask them where in their holy scriptures it says you need to bone a 12-year-old to be holy, and they can't show you one. They just go, well, it's my beliefs, though.
Yeah, but I think that is, I think that's, to me, that's what religion really is. I know that there's a lot of people who sincerely believe in like the loving God and that religion is a path to being a good person and living a good life. Those people are actually delusional, and to me they are the suckers, right? Religion needs positive reputation, right? And so those people take their good hearts and their good spirits and they kind of do the reputation laundering of the religion. Meanwhile, what it's useful for mostly is for really bad people to be able to do gross things that you would not be able to do otherwise and say, but my Bible. And so I do think that they genuinely believe that it's biblical to marry underage women. I think they know that in Bible times they did not have the notions of consent that we have, that they did not have the notions of, you know, waiting for adulthood. You can hear that when they still think that like you know, you're supposed to bleed your first night or whatever. And so I think it's very deliberate and strategic, and I think that that's what we're going to get with the intersection of, you know, the Epstein cover up, the child marriage, the lowering of the age of consent, moving K-12 education to the Department of Labor. I think they're very much trying to do what they think is biblical Christian theocracy.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they care so much about the Bible anymore. Remember, the point of all this Christian nationalist stuff, or more precisely, nationalist Christians, for two reasons. They put the nationalism way before the Christian, but also so you can shorten it to their proper name, Nazi. But I digress. That Seven
Yeah.
Mountain Dominion group, their whole thing is they're the new apostolic reformation or redaction, depending on whatever the NAR. They take the Bible as guidelines, really, because they have prophets like Donald John Trump.
Mm.
If the prophet says a thing is righteous, the Bible becomes irrelevant because the living prophet is spoken.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because it's kind of my argument for why Christianity needs to go down with Trump, which is that today they are, you know, they are a current expression of Christianity that has completely failed and led us down a horrible path. And yeah, so I also believe we could use the modern fruits of their behavior, but in a very different way. But yeah, when I say biblical, it's almost like you're right. It's not about the Bible, but it's about what we can like wrap in like the biblical culture, right, or whatever that is in their imagination, right? And you're right. It usually has very little to do with scripture.
Mm-hmm. I actually, just to tangent, and you know, we do tangent a lot here. We have an emoji for it. We actually have a shirt for it. I'm just full of capitalism today, but we do have merch to that effect. People just come here for the tangents, you know. Just throw that out there. All this random stuff I'm putting up, you can find on the website betterthanembry.com, which is mostly for science stuff like research about trans people and whatnot, and also my own personal links. But there is a store on there, and sometimes it's amusing to mention the store stuff. But I digress. I got into a little dust up with Eric Hovind over Turkey Day because he posted a thing on my Facebook. Well, not on my Facebook, but it got on my Facebook, where a progressive pastor was saying, we need to stop telling people who to vote for from the pulpit. This is not what religion is for. What are you doing? What the fuck? And Eric Hovind was like, well, actually, and he had a buddy from, conservative think tank institute.com or whatever the fuck to say, well, in fact, actually, hold on. Actually, the founders were overwhelmingly Christian, and 12 of the 13 original state charters required you to have faith in a higher power in order to hold public office. So clearly, this is a Christian nation, and therefore you must, for some reason, tell people who to vote for from the pulpit. And so I commented, Eric, please keep your nationalism off of other people's Christianity, but also, why are you hanging out with these NAR guys when your entire thing, for anybody who doesn't know, Eric Hovind is a creationist. His entire thing is the Bible has to be literally true from Genesis, because if you don't have Adam and Eve committing original sin, you don't need Jesus. Therefore, by wishful thinking and motivated reasoning, creationism. Genesis is true.
I actually totally agree with him, though. I totally agree with him that but to me, it falls to the rest of us. Like, I have to say this: I'm an evolutionary biologist, and I really wish I lived in a country that believed in evolution, and I don't. 70+% of people out there do not believe in evolution. What they believe is either creationism, young earth creationism, old earth creationism, whatever, or they believe in theistic evolution, which is like all except the narrative of evolution, but really my God did it. But their God didn't do it. It was a natural process. And what that means is that there is no such thing as sin. And like I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, them's the breaks. Like we have to, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but we have to, as a society, come to grips with the fact that the God shit isn't true, y'all. And it's time to just tell people, like, I'm sorry, but yeah. And again, like, what this whole salvation, like, all of that's bullshit. There's no curse on the world called sin. This is all really, really silly. And I'm sorry, but like, I think we should stop letting these people indoctrinate children. Like, we need to, as a society, decide Christianity is not cute. And Christianity will continue to be the downfall of America until America is willing to stop with the foolishness.
In fact, I have a short video that explains how all this shit is a direct through line.
All right, do it.
Yeah, I think y'all might enjoy this.
I have a problem with this stuff being normalized across the spectrum, and specifically, like, why push this on kids? Why introduce this to kids?
I am a depraved wretch. I am a great sinner. I'm a worm, completely undeserving of any love or any grace. I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
You're incapable of being a good person. You're an evil person. You're a terrible person. At the core fabric of who you are. That's why we need laws. We need laws because we're bad people. All of us are bad people.
You can't spell Pride Month without demon. PRIDEMONTH.
If we don't know who the women are, because they are just people, then we won't be able to pull the women up to equality with men.
We have to try to limit the harm. And that means reducing or keeping down the number of people who transition. And that's for two reasons. One of them is that every one of those people is a person who's been damaged. But the second one is every one of those people is basically, a huge problem to a sane world.
Transgenderism must be eradicated.
The LGBT, transgender, grooming our children's minds is a national security threat. We need to hold people for treason, start having some public hearings, and start executing people.
I will use whatever gives me victory. I don't care about the truth, and I don't care about the law. I care about one thing, the control.
But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president.
Then what happened is they rigged the election, and I became president, so that was a good thing.
I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president, but I still would not have voted for you. because you're an Indian.
I just want to say I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
It was actually a tremendous blessing to these children for them to be killed and go to heaven and be with God.
We've been hoodwinked. We've been taken in by an ideology crafted by creeps and then pushed on children.
Stop letting people pressure you into thinking.
I want to be ignorant, honestly.
Being a Christian doesn't exclude us from experiencing spiritual dryness.
We're bad people. All of us are bad people.
All of them are bad people.
I got to say a few things. So one, that was fucking incredible. That was awesome. That was so good. That was like really just so good. But we should talk quickly about trans people. Because it needs to be said that it needs to be said that this is really the thing that is exposing Christianity in our time. I say Christianity has to go down with Trump, and really that's because I hope that the Epstein files and the rot that he's brought this country and the embarrassment to the QAnon people about, the government is actually hiding pedophiles. But that's very sad to me, because it really says something about the need for national embarrassment and for MAGA to have egg on its face before people will wake up to this traitorous dictator. But the reality is, what is happening with trans people is really what should have us as a society turning away from Christianity, not just in terms of leaving the church and no longer identifying as Christians, but as people who don't identify as Christians, as no longer tolerating the public expression of Christianity. Because we just have to get to a point where we say, no, you don't understand. There's newsflash. Ignorance is no longer permissible. Hatred is no longer acceptable in polite society. And you don't get to hide behind your religion to hate people. And we know that people are hiding behind their religion when it comes to all this transphobic bullshit. And when I look back at my own deconversion story or whatever, the thing that disappoints me the most, one, I always talk about having mentors and people in my life who I think knew Christianity was bullshit and wouldn't tell me. That hurts. But also not leaving as a result of the bigotry. Knowing as a Christian just how much Christianity was used for bigotry against particularly gay people, because when I was going through my journey, the narrative wasn't about trans people at that time, but it was the same exact thing. And of course, I did the rationalization. I don't have that prejudice. I have gay friends. I've always been a ally. Whatever. Like you do all the cognitive dissonance that you need to do to tell yourself you're not part of the problem, but you are part of the problem. And you are affiliating with and empowering this organization, this institution, and you know it's the source of this hatred, and you just won't leave because of selfish reasons. You are dehumanizing these people. The hatred of these people doesn't matter to you because it makes you feel special, or you don't want to have confrontation with those people, so you'll let them give you the bullshit. And we shouldn't be doing that. And the fact that liberal Christians, progressive Christians, LGBTQ accepting Christians, fuck that, LGBTQ Christians have been so utterly useless in doing anything about this hatred campaign should speak to the fact that they've always been controlled opposition, and that that they're no help. They're no good. What have they done? What what laws have they prevented from being passed? What trans people have they saved? How many trans people have lost their employment, their ability to play sports, their ability to enjoy public life, their ability to have education, or just even proper identification? And what has your progressive Christianity done to stop any of that? So it comes to a point where it's not even about trans people. It's not even on trans people. It's on the rest of us to say, we can't have this. Y'all don't have the numbers to do the advocacy on your own. It has to be up to the rest of us to say, enough is enough of this, and I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And we can't just keep letting this happen with issue after issue, generation after generation. At some point, we have to say, I'm sorry, this whole religious endeavor has had its time to take the lead in pushing us towards morality. Y'all have been on the wrong side of history every single time. So I'm just sick of it. It's so utterly disgusting, and I don't know why we're letting these people play in our faces about it. But again, it's happening right now. It's like, we don't have to go to the Bible. I love going to the Bible. The Bible has a handbook for slavery in it. It does embody treating women like property. He commands genocides. He murders babies. Like, it is a book filled with pure evil, and I find that incredibly useful. But we don't need to go to the Bible, because we see right now Christianity produces evil. We see it doing it right now in 2025 in real time. So I don't need the Bible to indict Christianity. I can say, look at what is happening to trans people in America right now. It is literally not Christians saying, who are the most marginalized people? Who are the least of these? And what can we do to help them? It is literally them saying, who are the most marginalized? Who are the least of these? And what can we do to wipe them all the way out of society so they don't even have the audacity to exist anymore? So the same way I feel like it was a moral failing for me to not, and that's, I want to just tie it together real quick. The same way it was a moral failing of me personally to not realize this is a hate group and I'm out of here. It is a moral failing of our society right now to not see the persecution of trans people connected to Christianity and say, enough is enough. We're not playing this game anymore.
Yeah, because it's always been a smokescreen for hate. Like,
Always.
say they do succeed in eradicating us, they'll immediately go right back. They're already laying the groundwork for going after the gays again. And if they get the gays, then it'll be the blacks again, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Like, all of this stems out of the fucking Civil Rights Act. There's
Yeah.
a reason that creationism and nationalism and evangelicalism, at least the political Falwell version that we're seeing active today, all of this, the charter schools, the whole ball of wax, it all started in the 1960s because they didn't want their kids to have to go to school with brown little boys and girls.
Right.
It's racism at the bottom.
Oh, it's
All the
always
others,
racism.
these are just included.
Yeah.
And it's been like this forever. It's just endless scapegoats. It's just endless hatred under a smokescreen of religion. Now, I want to be clear, not every Christian is a horrible person. I've met several who are wonderful people who are Christian and good in spite of their Christianity, not because of it. We're saying the religion is always used as a smokescreen for horrible bullshit. You don't need it to be a good person. You're better than that.
Yeah. And I just came up with an idea for a stream that I'm going to do that you just inspired me. So, yeah,
I'm
sub
inspired.
people.
Great.
But yeah, I'm going to do a stream called Niggerification. Sorry. But it's no, because what people have to understand is it's a very powerful historical phenomenon, right? It's yes, like you said, it's all racism. And that's about black people being at the bottom of the social hierarchy, which has always given everybody else something to stand in contrast to, right? So that was always the thing about who's white, who can pass, who's acceptable, right? And then being on the outside of that was to make you like the black people, right? So when Irish people come over and they were saying, "Oh, when we were back in the day, we weren't white." Yeah, who were they trying to associate with? Who were they trying to treat y'all like? Of course, y'all wasn't really it. Y'all wasn't really black, but they was, but y'all felt what it was like to not be considered white, right? And then, but who did you want to stand in opposition to, right? Of course, they didn't want to be really affiliated with us. So when they could get relief from that, when they wanted to expand who was white, they bring you in. They fold in the Irish, they fold in the Italians, they fold in the Polish. None of them folks was considered white originally, right? And so now that was the thing with gays. That to me is really, when you talk about the LGB without the T, that's what that was. See, they're saying, no, we made a lot of progress on our own, especially because we coded our community primarily as white coded. So we were making progress. Gay people could get married. We was fine. Every good Christian had a lesbian girlfriend. Everything was cool and gravy, right? So we were making strides towards being passed and acceptable. Now all of a sudden the T comes along, and now all of a sudden, oh, all this pride stuff. Now they're treating us like we Negroes again. Now we're on the outside. Now we're getting persecuted. Now they thinking about taking away our marriage rights. So now the L and the G, they trying to boot out the T because they feel like y'all dragging them down to being treated like us. Who else is getting dragged down? Liberals. That's why I keep trying to do all the stuff on my stream and keep saying liberals, they hate you. They hate you, right? Think about that woman who I covered on my stream, who she went out and she orchestrated a fake attack, right? She sliced herself. She went to a scarification artist and got herself all sliced up and then zip tied and all this, and then called the cops and wrote "fuck Trump" or whatever on herself, right? What was she trying to do? She was trying to make it motivated, like, look, the crazy left is attacked me and they hate Trump so much. They saw me. Why? So they can motivate violence against the left, right? Because they see the left as pushing the woke, pushing the DEI, pushing with the blacks and the browns and being pro-immigration and pro-trans people. So now they're trying to make the left part of the N-word, right? So you people have to see this happening and understand it's not accidental. It's niggerification. That's a real thing. Like, but yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit on Pocket Locker 86 because of this stream right here with Ember made me think about that.
We're setting fire on all kinds of shit. I could go on and on and on, but we do actually have a thing we're doing today. Far be it from me to axe a good tangent, but my goodness, there's so much we could say. All right, so this section is a little later in Genesis. It's chapter 12, where Abraham goes to Egypt. And as before, we'll start a little bit before the passage in question. So start of the chapter, verse 10. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. And he was about to enter Egypt, and he said to his wife Sarai, who is also his sister, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Say that you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman, and when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to the Pharaoh, an 86-year-old woman, and she was taken into the palace. He treated Abram well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female slaves, and camels.
Yeah, this is one of the weird stories where kind of like the Isaac story with the child sacrifice, where somehow this one gets into the regular canon of like stuff they preach about in church, even when you're like a kid, right? So you hear this story and it is always set up as like this great godly deception of like somehow, I guess, needing to pass off your wife as your sister to make it acceptable for them to take her. Again, this is some freaky Pornhub stuff. This is some freaky deaky Pornhub stuff. This is literally take my wife. No, she's actually this is literally like the husband and wife plotting, and they're like, baby, I'm really into this cuck fantasy. Like I just need to get cucked super hard. And she'd be like, baby, I understand, but like, I don't know if these dudes are down with the cuckolding thing. Like, I don't know if they'll go for it. He's like, well, what if I tell them you're my sister? Yeah, and I'm just trying to pimp out my sister.
Yeah. Which in as weird as it is, that was the custom at the time, like we were just talking about earlier. If the father is dead, then the daughter is probably the oldest surviving male.
Right, yeah, making arrangements.
That's a little ishy, but she is his property if she's his sister. I mean, well, if she's his wife too. And fun fact, she's both, but that's another story. The point is, he's pimping out his wife and getting paid in slaves because he's righteous.
Ugh.
Tell me more about how Satanism contains ideas that are inappropriate for children. Like you have bodily autonomy, for example. That the real reason the Republicans in Iowa don't want you to know what the Satanists actually believe is because if you understand that other people think it's not cool for the Republicans to touch the children in the naughty places, they'll realize it's not cool for the Republicans to touch the children in the naughty places.
Yeah.
They'll be like, wait, just because this happened in church doesn't mean it's good and holy. Maybe
and again, like, we let these people play in our face, but the way that they basically have come out with the culture war assault against the concepts of consent and bodily autonomy, which is because again, these are the people who literally didn't want to have those conversations. We can't talk to children about that until, of course, we needed to take a vaccine to save lives. Then all of a sudden they knew about autonomy, they knew about consent, they knew about my body, my choice. They knew all of that all of a sudden. But they're right back to not understanding it. And that is, and again, like, let's be clear, when the Christian, and they get their signals from their talking heads, when they come out talking about, well, I never heard that Jeffrey Epstein watched stuff with 8-year-olds in it. I mean, he was into that barely legal type, where they're barely legal, but they look 15. I'm not trying to provide excuses. I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy. I'm just saying there's like they're playing in our faces about these things.
I've got that clip around here somewhere. I'm pretty sure I know where it is. Hold please.
No worries.
I fucking love that line. I mean, I hate the fact that I should have known this was coming and prepared for it. But I do. Goodness. Who the fuck was that? Megyn Kelly? Yeah, Megyn Kelly. Where is it? I'm not finding it in my clip folder. Shoot. Well, I'll let it go for the moment. But yeah. That's the whole specific thing that Jay was referencing there. The TV host. Well, I think she got fired from TV. She's a web host now, named Megyn Kelly. She was saying all of those things. She was like, "I'm just telling you facts. It's just true that he wasn't a pedophile. He only liked 15-year-olds. Like, what do you think that word means, ma'am? What are we doing here? It's fucking wild." Oh, where the fuck did I put that clip? That's frustrating. I'll search for it. I'll see if I can find it. Because I like to hide clips in different places, you see. It's a whole thing. But it's not that important. Jay pretty much covered it. But it's so weird in so many ways that you know, I was talking in an earlier show about how Iowa is currently the only state in the U.S. where
Oh, I
they
think I
have.
found it. All right, let me see. I think
Oh,
this is
you
it.
got it.
Yeah, I think we have a private chat back here. I should be able to drop it in.
Yeah, probably, maybe.
Although I'm like not. I got this thing on my on my
Oh, I've got the John Oliver
teleprompter.
version of the clip, but I can't air that one.
All
'cause
right,
that'll
here. Oh yeah, I got it. I got it. I see the chat. Okay. I had to get out of full screen mode.
Yeah, well, while we're at that, Dr. Kip mentions that the screwed up thing is that Megyn Kelly was part of the class action against Roger Ailes. It's so wild how this shit works. Like, you know, in the last few days, it's come out. What was his name? Pablo Torre did a whole explosive investigation thing into Riley Gaines and how much money she's been paid to go be, you know, a professional transphobe because she tied for 5th in one race. But while she's running around saying, oh, this is to protect women and shit, her coach has raped her teammates. He is an actual threat to women who has actually harmed women, and not a peep about it from Riley.
Oh, all right, Ember. I think it's in the chat.
All right. Open says me. Open says me. Okay. It says it's minute 29. So yeah, we'll just do the thing. We'll just do it and see what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
It's a good clip. It's a good clip.
Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show.
A nationwide uproar is erupting over Megyn Kelly's controversial remarks suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't really a pedophile.
He was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realized,
which is not barely legal. It's
not barely
not
legal. Not what barely legal means at all.
And she opens with just outright saying Jeffrey
He likes
Epstein
15-year-olds. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Wild.
this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds.
The backlash is fierce. Hashtag I was 15 is now trending on social media, with some posting photos of themselves at that age. 15 isn't barely legal, it's illegal, goes one post. You're defending a pedophile, says another. The women of The View took aim today.
Well, we don't need to hear what the women of The View had to say about it. It's so fucked up. And
It is.
You know, I don't pay any attention to X. It's the Twitter toilet, the leftovers, the people who haven't fled the scene yet. There are still a few people who are there mostly just to keep an eye on what the fuck is going on over there. But for the most part, it just nah. But hearing that thing trending, that kind of made it slap a little bit. I was 14. You know, like so many people were underage, and that shit does damage to you for your whole life.
Yeah, it's super fucked up. And like you said, like people are not necessarily like connecting the dots even to like the racism like you were talking about. Like, so for instance, lowering the age at which people can be tried as an adult, right? Like, you know, there was a time where children were just part of the regular justice system, right? And we basically realized, hey, like they're kids, their brains aren't fully formed, you know, we need a separate system that's focused on rehabilitating them and not, you know, over criminalizing kids. But that was always selectively applied, right? And certain type of kids, well-to-do white kids, were the ones who were seen as the most worth investing in redeeming, and like poor black kids were seen as irredeemable. What do you mean you're going to try to teach morality to a black kid? Don't you know they're descended from savages? And so you have that, and then of course, like a lot of these young women, like they're gonna want to be able to say, well, when you're 15, you're old enough to work. then they lower the age of consent, then they can basically say, oh no, these were prostitutes. These were, these are irredeemable, degenerate young women. And this isn't about, this is a morality issue. This isn't about powerful men raping children. This is something else. And so, people got to pay attention to the fact that, trust me, the other side is definitely connecting those dots.
Yeah, it's all of a piece. So Fern, who is the greatest plant in the community, I do have to say, just sent me a thing on Discord. And that seems to be the apologetic.
That's it. That's that. But see, this is beautiful. I love this sign because you got to go there. You got to, and there it is. That's what they're saying. Boom, there it is. And I hate to tell you another thing that's very interesting about this is it's always moving and shifting the goalpost. Part of what this has done, and they are going to the whatever, but part of what this has done is it's almost wiped his slate clean of the dozens of credible sexual assault allegations he has against him by women, because now that is like socially acceptable by way of comparison to this whole Epstein nonsense. And so, what he did with all that stuff is going to be seen as really nothing to even look at because they don't even want you to look over here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've always known all this stuff, all the scapegoating, all the we're going to build a wall, the over-the-top bullshit. It's always been a distraction. We haven't been able to ignore it because this shit hurts people's lives, but we've known it's a distraction.
Right.
Most of us have also always known what it was about too, but details. There's so many layers of RAR, and as much. Okay, first of all, this is why I like doing lives. Fern, appreciate sending the thing. Very on point. But that's why I like doing lives, because we can interface with you folks in real time with your suggestions, your comments, your additions. It makes the show better, even though I'm very prone to tangents. I just
yeah. There's plenty of listen, people. There's plenty of perverted stuff to get to in the Bible.
For real. Also, if you're watching in the future,
but also it's funny too because this is like you said, there's a lot here, but this is so 101 because to me, what's also interesting, and maybe we'll get some of this stuff if we do like more of these episodes, but I think a lot of their attitude is kink, right? Like the thing that we pulled up the other day, it wasn't even something really X-rated. It was like a passage about like, don't call each other rabbi because you only have one rabbi and you only have one father. Like even like, it's like that's how you know something is someone's kink, right? It's not just what they do in the bedroom. A lot of us do some freaky shit. We watch some pornography and it's just, that's just fantasy. You just roll with it. But when something becomes how you're living out in the streets, how you're talking to people, how you carry yourself, how you communicate, all of a sudden we're like, oh, this is a lifestyle for you, huh? Like you're about it. Like, so it's all that, like the whole, like, power dynamic. I guess it's especially interesting. Yeah, like think about somebody like Nick Fuentes, who like has this, he's the leader of this Groyper thing, and they've got the whole incel stuff. And it was kind of brought to my attention that he was like on an interview and basically it kind of admitted that like he's never been in a relationship and like I don't think he's ever kissed a girl. Right. So something's going on with y'all. Something's going on with y'all. There's like a weird, like abstaining, but like you're not into intimacy, but you have like intimate expressions. You're into like these power and authority. Like Nick Fuentes has gotten more intimate with Donald Trump than any woman on the planet, which is probably good. Kudos for women. But I don't even know if that's what he's into. I don't know, because there's also a lot of rumors that he's closeted and he's kind of accidentally streamed some gay porn on his channel before. So accidental. A lot of these dudes they're cases of something. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying,
but then think about it like this too. Like, okay, so right after I think the attack on the National Guardsmen that we just had, all of a sudden Laura Loomer's like, yeah, we need a king. And then boom, like here comes the alt-right. They're all like, yeah, we need a king, but we need a benevolent dictator. Da, 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 da. Like again, like do you know how into being subservient to another human being you have to be to express your desire for a king in America? Like that has to be some kind of weird. You have to understand that this is America. The very identity of this country is like, we don't mess with that king stuff. We don't even mess with like a ceremonial king or like, yeah, there's like a royal family. No, don't worry, they're just there kind of no, we don't not even symbolically. No, we don't do that. But over there on the Christian right, y'all really into this king stuff. What's with that? I'm not with that. We're not with that. Y'all are weird. I'm telling y'all, there's some kinky stuff going on over there, y'all.
The same fuckers who are constantly on about what the founders intended and what the founders believed.
So true. It's so true.
Was rejecting a king. Have you read the Declaration of Independence? The whole thing was like, kings suck.
Yeah. And they're like, no, suck the king.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
No, there's no intellectual consistency on the right. It's honestly, it's either people who do know better and are lying to manipulate stupid people, or the stupid people being manipulated. There is not one honest and competent person on that side.
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's a very interesting thing. It's the realities of being audience captured. It happens in lots of different walks of life, but at some point the idiots are actually running the show, because you might be, smarter than them or whatever, but if that's the vector for your power, then you just have to stay on that runaway train. So they may have originally been manipulating the poors, but now they're stuck. They're like, that's like it's niche construction, right? Like that's the niche they've constructed for themselves. So now they've got to go down with that ship because they have no other access to power.
Well, it's also self-preservation, because they've gone so far. If this power bubble ever pops, they're all going to prison for the rest of their fucking lives.
Oh yeah. Abandon's been saying that. Some of them are saying it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an oof, because Joe had his pluses and minuses, but one of the big minuses is he never held people accountable for the bullshit that happened the first time. He just let it go. And you can't do that, because then this happens.
Yeah. No check on power.
Why we don't let the Bible go, because this is at best the shield and often the inspiration for this kind of shit. It's how we get here. And so with that, chapter 16. Now this one is a few verses, but you'll see which one it is as we go here. So this starts out with it's how Hagar and Ishmael showed up. Starting at chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. And so she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Now, maybe she's mad because her husband/brother has been pimping her out in Egypt, and now she's like, I get to return the favor. But there is so much holy shit here, right? Like,
yeah,
treating another woman as property. Like, being a slave is horrible enough, but saying because you're a slave, your reproductive organs are my property. It's not just I can tell you what to do. It's not just I can have you beaten if you don't do as I say. It's I can make you carry a baby. It's total removal of bodily autonomy in every fucking way possible.
Right,
You
right.
cannot be more inhumane short of
Right.
outright killing.
Yeah. Yeah. And people don't, so I'm thinking that made me think of like the one drop rule. And a lot of times people don't realize like that was the same thing, because it was like if a, you know, because the thing that was most likely to happen was a white man having a baby with a slave, impregnating one of his slaves. So the one drop rule was like, because normally your parentage would be reserved to your father, right? That's part of that whole thing, because parentage a lot of times struck with the father. So you would be part of that landed white man's lineage. So they were like, hell no, one drop, no. You're so that could make you a slave. So then that became useful for them, because now actually impregnating your slaves, you can create more slaves. Now, if the flip happened and your wife stepped out on you, or she got knocked up by a slave, well, by the fact that its father was a slave, it was automatically a slave. So we ain't had to worry about that. So the one drop rule just covered the case that we had to really, really care about. And so, yeah, like this is literally all of that grossness. And then the fact that it's like the wife being like, yeah, just yeah, sorry, I couldn't make it work. But yeah, this is like surrogacy. She's just like, yeah, go knock up the slave girl.
Yeah, all of this blood purity shit, from the incest we read about earlier to this, it's all inheritance law, and that's where so much of this hatred takes its root from. Is this the blood has to be pure bullshit, right? Like you've got the one drop rule over here because they're worried about inheritance. With gay people, it was less of a concern, but still a concern, because what happens if you end up with a crown prince who isn't going to produce any babies because he's not into that sort of thing? You're looking at a civil war down the road. Not cool. And the same thing with trans people. This is a fun book called The Curious Case, the Hidden Case of Ewan Forbes by Zoe Playton. I've talked about this in a show a year or two ago, something like that. And TLDR, he's a trans man whose dad was a lord. He wasn't supposed to inherit, so nobody cared. But then his brother died. And suddenly this person who was assigned female at birth had popped up as the next in line to inherit, because he was a man now, and men inherit. And so the crown panicked. Because what happens if we allow the legitimacy of trans people in law, and suddenly the crown prince dips out of the line of succession to be a princess, or a princess inserts herself ahead of a male sibling as a new crown prince? Confusion.
Yeah,
violence,
absolute chaos. Some fucking some House of Dragon shit is gonna happen.
So yeah, that's where, because remember, prior to the 1950s and 60s, trans people were just a thing that happened sometimes. It was a curiosity, something novel that the newspapers reported about as like, an albino dog or something.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
look at this weird thing that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a war in Germany, it just, the biggest issue was 1953 when Christine Jorgensen, I'm getting better with names, folks. Estrogen does wonders for a brain. But anyway, Christine Jorgensen got awarded Man of the Year or Woman of the Year. By the men's group in New York City. It's a whole thing. Because she was awarded Woman of the Year, it was a big deal. And they'd made a big thing, like she was an ex-GI, becomes blonde bombshell. Everybody's seen the thing. But it was still just sensationalism. Like, it didn't affect anyone's lives, and everyone knew that, so nobody cared. It wasn't until suddenly it mattered for inheritance law that there became a political motive to stomp on trans people.
Yeah,
That's not
it's
to say stop there.
capitalism ruins everything. It's and honestly, I think we need. I hate to say this, but we need to go max trans the same way we need to go max left. First off, I love when I had some students talk about like the frequency of seeing trans people like increase, and I showed them the left-handed chart, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you think's going on with the left-handed chart? And that helped them kind of deconstruct that. But I really do think we need this gender inclusive movement because we've had such restrictive notions of gender. This is a correction for society. We need to play with gender. We've all been taking gender way too seriously, and it's been way too restrictive for everybody, including, cis male and female people. Like it's sucked for everybody. It's always fucking blown to have these really restrictive gender norms. Genders to me is something that we should be playing with, experimenting with. And I think that this is an opportunity to do that, but we got to get out of our own way and stop being fucking freaks about the genitalia of who's in the restroom with you.
For real, it's okay. So a couple of notes. First of all, we've known that the bathroom issue was made up. The conservatives made it up for a campaign in Houston. It worked there. They tried it again in Massachusetts, and it failed. And the right-wing propaganda group in Massachusetts wrote a big old article that they published on their public website that anybody can go read.
Wow.
We made up the bathroom predator myth to manipulate people with their emotions. And it did not work here. And if our billionaire donors don't change their tactics, it's not going to work in other places. And very quickly we came up with the sports argument, but that's a whole issue for another time. The point is, it's made up, and we know it is because they admitted it. No, I mean, we know it is anyway, because nobody can cite any time that has ever happened, but never mind that. It's a whole thing. But also, remember, it was only in 1910 that women in the US got the right to wear pants. In 1910. Tell me, what is biological about trousers?
Nothing. And it's so dumb too, because you could be in Scotland and warriors are expected to wear kilts. So I don't understand. Oh God, we're so cooked.
Every now and then it gets better, and then the regressives get all amped up, and that's what we're having right now. It's a regressive clawback. This is the most destructive one we have seen in the United States in living memory, at the very least. I'm not going to say the worst ever, because unless you dig deep into what exactly happened in Reconstruction post-Civil War,
sure,
where Black people suddenly had, we had Black Congress members, and then suddenly Black people couldn't vote. Like there was some regressive bullshit going on there. There was some reactionary action going on, but definitely the most reactionary we've seen in living memory in the U.S. It doesn't mean it'll stay that way, but it does mean we can't just let it be, because when it happened during Reconstruction, remember, the Civil War ended in 1865 and the Civil Rights Act was 1965, and there's still racism today. We can't just let it be, or it'll be 100 fucking years before women get the right to wear pants again.
Yeah, and I think we need to just come out and just say, listen, in its current iteration, religion has just been a regressive influence, because to me, I don't know. To me, it's almost like, if you don't really want to address the real problem, do you deserve the real solution? It's hard. Like, to me, this is an avoidance tactic. Like we're having this this thing where we know that religion just keeps making people misguided and making them do the wrong thing, but we're not supposed to talk about it. We're not supposed to critique it. So we're just going to keep nibbling around the edges. It's like, we're never going to fix this problem until we acknowledge that this is actually the problem. And I know there's some nice people with some weirdo woo-woo beliefs, and honestly, I don't care because there's just nothing to any of that. But if we take the pretty major religious influences that we see going on right now, it's not a pretty picture.
Yeah. I mean, woo woo, it's whatever. Like the people who believe the woo woo, they're generally harmless. Sometimes they believe in alternate medicine that will fucking kill you. But for the most part, they're harmless. The issue is the people who are taking their crazy ass beliefs and trying to control how other people live with them. That's the main issue. Now, to be clear, I don't think it's healthy to have crazy bullshit beliefs, because when you disable your critical thinking, you make yourself vulnerable to all manner of nonsense, like the fake medicine. But there is a distinction.
Yeah, and I struggle with it too, because to me, I think about it like as an educational issue. And it's the indoctrination of students and young people is a real problem. I see what it does to them when they show up in college. It's not good. It's not pretty. And often they're so it's what they know, so they're like very emotionally attached and feel the need to like defend it and stuff. So it really trips me up, and I do feel at some level there's like an obligation to tell them that it's not true. And it feels like we're failing young people by knowing that people are gonna go out of their way to lie to them and indoctrinate them, but we're not willing to go out of our way to say, hey, like, don't listen to them. It's tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are at a disadvantage because we actually do believe in free speech because we believe in human rights. And so we can't say we have to silence them entirely the way they feel no compunction about saying we throw them all in jail, all the leftists.
Yeah.
Try the Democrats for treason and execute them, whatever, all that shit. It's seditious language.
Seditious language, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, from the guy who can't even hold the fucking Bible right side up, but never mind.
All right, so this Hagar thing. So I'm imagining all of this as pornography. And this one's good. Like, I like me a hot couple, maybe older, we're doing like mature, okay? And then it's Bible times. So the setup and the context, like the scene, it's not really how we shoot it 2025, right? But maybe they're having this conversation about fertility or whatever, because it's before the gonzo porn, so we got to do some story. There's got to be a narrative that makes sense, right? And then the wife is gonna offer the slave, and that's how we bring in like the young girl, okay? And so we're gonna get. I could get there. So what that really made me think is somebody needs to do this. Somebody needs to come up with a porno company that just shoots like wilding out ass porn, super kinky stuff, but low key everything's inspired by Bible stories.
It's all, yeah. Red letter edition.
Yeah, that's what they should call it. Red letter entertainment. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so Javon Bradley, he does like a weekly news report on one of his other channels called Red Mirror Media. But when he started doing that, it reminded me that there's an entertainment company called Red Letter Entertainment. And now I'm very curious about what they produce in Red Letter Entertainment.
Yeah.
Oh my. Also, shout out to Jovan. He's a boss.
Yeah. General Sergeant Caddiers.
My shout outs, but holy shit.
Yeah, I like Jovan stuff.
Yeah, it's very.
He's got a toy drive going.
He does, for the kids.
Yeah, Theo, I'm starting a second career as a Christian porn director.
Yeah. Oh my.
I actually think Christian porn might be low key like a good niche, like because they're horny as hell. So if you could give them like a Pureflix,
Purity Pictures,
Pure Pics or something like that, but it's it's all like God glorifying lovemaking and something like that. I think they get into that. Because listen, when I was coming up, when I was coming. It's hilarious. When I was coming up, TD Jakes did this like sacred love songs or something. And it was basically like supposed to be like R&B, like love making music, but like gospel. So, I think they want that. Like I literally think Christian couples are like the same way they're so desperate to like rebrand all the like the popular music and like redo them with like Christian lyrics. Like they want to feel like they're cool. So I think especially like a lot of Christian couples, because a lot of them marry young, you know what I'm saying? And like marriage is kind of a way to have God approved sex. So if you could get them to feel like they doing some freaky stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I think somebody can make a lot of money off of them. I'm just saying, let's just be real. Religion is a grift. So sometimes I think that's a good way to go about deconstruction is like just as atheists, start Christian businesses, make a ton of money off exploiting them, and then eventually be like, nah, I don't believe in it. It's nonsense. I just wanted your fucking money.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we got to get by. Times are tough.
Exactly like the Republicans are doing right now.
Yeah, they outlaw DEI. Like, what do you want from me? I got a grift now off Christianity. I got to...
Yeah. They don't believe in any of this shit, but they're gonna hold it up. They're sending money, for Jesus or something. It's fucking wild. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but yeah, I like your take. The whole because these were stories. These were oral tales, that were passed down from generation to generation. They didn't have written literature for a large portion of this. Now, I'm sure Kip will point out that Genesis was written at a certain point, but before that, a lot of it was oral and it had been changed. So on. They didn't have porn, but if they could put their fantasies into the stories, then they could say, hey, tell me the story about Hagar and Ishmael. And then they get this whole freaky deaky thing about getting down with the slave girl. Ancient porn, ta-da.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
There's a few places that definitely meet that.
There's a lot of directions you could go. I mean, you could go the direction of full-on like biblical porn, like the adult version of the actual Bible story, and then it's like set and setting. What I was thinking more of is like, how like they'll tell you like this modern movie was inspired by this like Shakespearean play. You didn't know West Side Story is like whatever. You see what I'm saying? So you could do that type of thing where what you think you're watching is just regular, normal, modern porn, but it's actually inspired by the Bible just because the stories are so kinky. But then the other thing that I was talking about, like the Pureflix idea, no, that would be like actual porn meant for Christians. Like that's like where you're trying to make like God glorifying Bible erotica. That's actually meant, like it's meant for couples. It's meant for like, this is the porn you can watch with your wife after church on Sunday.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that's money. That's so much money.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you just tell them it's okay, they won't even ask their pastor.
No, it's instructional. It's not. It's to motivate you. It's to show you. It's to give you ideas for how to make love in a God glorifying way. Yeah.
That's the ticket. Glorifying God is that's the important.
Low key, it's kind of a public service because the idea of like one of the reasons I can't get into Christianity is because it's such a turnoff. Like it's so unsexy. Like there's no way that you can show me two really hardcore Christians and I think they're having a great sex life. You could tell me some Christians that don't really take it too seriously, and they could probably get down. But I feel like there's an inverse correlation with your biblical obsession and the quality of your kink. It's just me.
Well, okay. There's two different sliding scales, but there is some correlation between how repressed you are and how severe.
Yeah, it's repression and then like lack of experience and all of that stuff gets weird. And then like shame around it. And then like if you have a lot of shame around it, then you don't really get good at like expressing yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's a problem.
I think that's the thing. I think part of the shame is because for some people that itself is a turn on. Like I can't.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. Yeah.
How many religious people
Yeah.
that I've been with over the years that are like, I'm such a dirty person.
Yeah.
Like they're clearly, excited by that.
Yeah.
And
No,
to them,
when I
it's
was
fun. Forgiveness on Sunday.
when I was churchy, I definitely knew how to like flirt with churchy girls and play to that. Yeah. It's actually it's like kind of easy actually. There's just a lot of pent up repression. The problem is it's just too much. It's too much work to bring it out. It's far easier to just far easier to just be with a normal person.
Right.
But
Like the training, the honey, that's just missionary. There's nothing frisky about that.
Yeah.
Like, let me show you the good news,
Yeah.
Oh, wowzers. It's an adventure. All right. I want to get one more in before we get
Sure.
to the-
Yeah. Before we call it episode 1.
Yeah. We're gonna skip right over circumcision because we kind of talked about that earlier.
Sure.
But
Just a
there is
tidbit.
circumcision verse.
Just a tidbit for everybody that's hung in this far. The name is kind of funny to me, Adult Bible Study, because it's actually how I used to make fun of this community. I started to realize, we do so many of these debates and philosophical discussions, and I would always joke that that's like the Adult Bible Study crowd because we're always sitting around arguing and talking about religion all the time. So then when this idea came up, I was like, we should call it Adult Bible Study. So it's kind of actually a pun. But I'm glad we went with it. I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that may be why, because like when you were talking about it on your show a few days ago, I was like, yes. DMJ. I'm like, let's do it. Like we'll just do the adult passages. Let's do it.
Yeah, super
here
fun.
we are doing it. So one more passage for today. This is Genesis 19, and it starts right at the beginning. Sodom and Gomorrah, everyone's favorite story. So it begins, the two angels arrived at Sodom. Little backstory, tangents again, I know, but little backstory. God met Abram on his way to Sodom because he'd heard rumors that the people of Sodom were being unkind to strangers. And if that were the case, he's going to level the city because he's all knowing that he has to look for himself.
I just love Bible logic. If they were being rude to strangers, I'm gonna wipe out the entire city. Cool. Right.
It's as one does.
So much better than being rude to strangers. Got it.
And so God, he hasn't found out yet because he's all knowing. So he has
Right, he's all knowing, but he's gotta go look into it.
Right. And so Abram says, Lord, surely you wouldn't destroy the whole city if there are 50 righteous men in there. And God thinks about it and he goes, well, no, you're right. That wouldn't, for the sake of 50 righteous men, I will spare the city. And then Abram goes, well, surely you wouldn't wipe out 40 righteous men just because they're 10 short, right? And God thinks about it.
And the all-knowing God doesn't see where this is going. Doesn't see where this.
In my mind, again,
yeah,
40, I will spare this. And so it goes on. He gets God to change his mind 5 fucking times, the all-knowing. And so God sends angels because he was on the way to Sodom himself. Now he's sending angels to go investigate and see if they can find however many righteous men. I think they settled on 10. And so they're looking for righteous men. So God sends 2 angels. And this is where our story picks up. The 2 angels arrived in Sodom in the evening, and Lot, who is Abram's like cousin or some shit. And so therefore he's automatically a righteous man. Remember, he's a righteous man. He's sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw the angels, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet, and spend. That's a euphemism that's often used to. He may literally mean feet, but often they say feet, but they mean the dangly bits. Anyway, you can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square, with their angelic booming voices and such. Kip says nephew. Okay. I was close. But he insisted so strongly, because, Abram can change God's mind. Lot, of course, can change angels' minds. He insisted so strongly that they did go with him. They entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, because angels have to eat, baking bread without yeast, because God hates yeast.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a whole thing. And they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lawrence, I'm so glad you recommended I switch to this version, because magnifique. Bring them out so we could have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything with these men, for they've come under the protection of my roof.
So
now it goes on.
They were going to bone the angels, and then he offers up the daughters instead of the male angels.
This righteous man, he offers the crowd of rapists both of his daughters. Do with them as you will, because he's a righteous man.
This is like so good. Like, so what I was imagining, right, was at first you set it up as like a scene where there's gonna be a gangbang. But you got to find 10 worthy cocksmen. And so, like, you show like them looking, and I don't know, maybe they do some like measuring and, whatever. They've got to check their character or whatever. And then eventually all of the men show up from the whole village. So you thought it was going to be 10 on 1. But now there's all these men, and it's about to be a mass insemination. So now the angels are trembling, like they can't handle it. So then Lot comes out and says, no, take my 2 daughters. And now it turns into this epic mass insemination orgy. It's like a 50 on 2, like one of those ones where there's just dudes there's just ejaculation just all over. They're just like covered and like the whole. I'm telling you, because think about that scene, like 2 daughters, like, because that's what those scenes are like. I know the scene, like the German ones I'm talking about, right? Where it'd be like 30 dudes. They're like 30 dudes versus 1, right? Be watching. So they're like, nah, screw that. We're doing like 60 on 2. It's gonna be like the Houston 500 up in this thing. Yeah, that's a scene. That's a whole scene. That's like, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Look, y'all. Go ahead.
It's so disturbing in so many fucking ways. But Kip brings us backstory. Dr. Kip says the Middle Assyrian law code says that when a man is caught in adultery, he is to be anally penetrated by the men of the town in the city square for punishment.
What?
And that's the backstory. That's the background. That's why this story exists.
What?
Amazing. Robin, to answer your question, Robin says, are you not using my Bible? I am. I have it right here. It's just the digital one is easier to share because
Is it because Kip, is it because like you penetrated that man's property, so now they penetrate you or something? That is so weird that they would be like, the penalty for adultery is the thing God said a man should not do with another man. That is so. How did that end up being the commandment if that's the punishment for adultery? I don't understand. It's not adding up. It's not adding up.
There's a lot to be said. I don't know if Lawrence is still hanging around, but when we got
It also suggests that this whole closeted thing has been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
In some cultures, in others, it was no big deal. Remember, in around this time in ancient Greece and also later in ancient Rome, there was this popular belief that real relationships were same sex. Only men could men, only women could really understand women. The heterosexual combinations were just for producing children, but that wasn't real love, you know?
I
So-
actually think that that's a huge part of this problem. So I could tell you, like, the last church I played drums at was like a super white evangelical church where I was going to grad school. And I was very strange to them because I spent a lot of time like talking to the girls. Like I was cool with the guys too, but like when we would do social events, they were always like separate. So it was literally like you were supposed to be separate until you were married. So like if you were, for instance, like so there was like a college ministry, and then it's connected to like a local church. So for your local church, that's like a lot of like adults and young families. And so the connection groups, like the Bible study groups for the church, are like mixed because of couples, right? You want couples and like to be in the same group or whatever. But the Bible study, the connection groups for the college ministry were single gender. And so then when you would get them together for like a house party or just like game night or whatever to watch games, like unless we like did an activity to bring everybody together, the guys would always be like socializing to themselves and the like girls would be off socializing to themselves. And I was like, that's weird. And I'm not going to only talk to guys because I teach at this university and like work here, and it'd be weird if I only spoke to men. Like y'all are weird. But that's still like a lot of how they, and so I think that that's a huge part of the problem. Like a huge part of the problem with conservative men is they don't socialize with women. Like the thing, even like when I was in school, like when I went to Catholic school, my social group was like me, the girls, and the token gay guy. So it's like the token black guy. So like I don't necessarily fit in with the white boys because they're weird. And then the gay dude don't necessarily fit in with all the white boys. Like we cool with them, we mess with them, but they're weird as fuck and they're violent as shit. So we kind of kick it with the girls a lot. Like we would do gym with the girls, eat lunch with the girls. So my whole life, even now, like the Gather crew, you know, it's mostly females. Most of my crew is like women. So I have women in my life. And so when I deal with like conservative men, I'm always like, y'all don't like women. And they're like, no, I'm not gay, I'm straight. I'm not talking about your sexual orientation. You don't like women. You don't like talking to them, hanging out with them, spending time with them, doing the type of shit they want to do, you know, enjoying the type of shit they want to watch. Like y'all don't seem to, like, people think that like it's all about what you're sexually attracted to. And I'm like, no, you should, it's hard. I don't understand how your relationship works when you don't like the other gender. Like, I don't understand how y'all do that. It's weird to me.
There's a whole thing that we don't have time for, and it's not even about, but there's this undercurrent within culture that everything is contextualized in the concept of conquest, as Kip points out. Like we still do that. Like to cis conservative hetero men, women aren't people. There's something that needs to be conquered.
Yes.
And you hate the enemy so that you can conquer it more effectively. That's why we've always had problems with spousal abuse and child abuse, for that matter. It's just everything is hate and conquest, and that's why we have the toxic masculinity we have today, because the only proper manly thing is hatred and conquest. No other feelings or emotions. We still do it in business, It's all dog eat dog world and all about the women.
Yeah. No, it's totally true. It's totally true, and it's again, it's super toxic. Like, why do we want to live this way? Like, why can't we have nice things? It's 2025.
This is why.
Do y'all know the 2025? It's supposed to be the Jetsons times. It's supposed to be the future, y'all. It's supposed to be the future.
Well, we only got indoor plumbing back in the 1800s.
Yeah, we're doing better than I think. Oh my goodness.
We lost over 1,000 years because of the Dark Ages. We would have been 1,000 years further ahead if it weren't for the fucking church. Same thing.
Yeah.
We're losing our future now because of the fucking church.
Yeah. And it's like uncivilizing us. Like it's regressive. It's totally regressive.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Alrighty, folks, we're probably gonna do this again. Asterisk. We're not sure when, how long, whether it'll be like weekly.
All right, hang on. Let's get one Tsunami comment in there. Always adds a little spice to the mixture. Tsunami said, T.S. Madsen says to cis hetero men, women are either a security blanket or a cum rag. Bars.
Kind of both.
Bars.
Damn. That's just shots fired. So
Love
Bobby
it.
with the spice. But do let us know in the comments. We'll try to keep up. And obviously it depends on our schedules too and whatnot. But let us know how often you'd like to see
Let us know if y'all like this. Yeah.
And thoughts, like, should we try to focus a little more on the Bible or the rants? Let us know your because this is a first. It's the pilot.
Yeah,
episode.
this was just fun. Yeah, we just thought it'd be fun, so we did it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have a dedicated end thing. Like, I made an intro real quick, but I don't have a dedicated end thing. So those of you watching over at Jay's, you're going to get my end credits. But fresh credits, you're the first ones who get to see them.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, however you want to do it. Love it. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. And as always, remember, you don't have to justify this horrible sexual deviancy because you can just
are better than religion. Yeah.
Just communicate. You're better than religion. Good night, folks. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for November. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Trans Metal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkisson, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Godless Engineer, Jester, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, The Mighty Filbert, and Secular Phalanist. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember, or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you all so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark that's breaking out, can't make a stop.